And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 4 of the Animanicast.
It's Yakko and Wacko and our sister Dot. If you need your ceiling painted, come see us. We will paint it better than a guy named Gus. If it's flaking and it's peeling, we will renovate your ceiling. We will make it so appealing. Come see us.
Welcome to the Animanicast. We are a podcast dedicated to the animated television series Animaniacs. We are going to revisit each and every episode of the series, discussing the cultural references and gags, share our memories of first watching each episode, and in the end, we're going to give each episode a water tower rating. I'm Joey, and joining me once again, as always, are my co-hosts, Nathan.
Hey, hey, hey.
And Kelly.
Hello.
And we have a very exciting episode here today to talk about. And I know Kelly, once again, is very excited to talk about this one from our conversations leading up to today's recording. So before we get into all of that, let's just go with your general thoughts of this episode. And we'll get to our rating later. But if you were to, give your general thoughts, Nathan, in like a few words, what would you say about this?
It's a classic. Is that it? I don't know. How many words?
I don't have a word limit. You could say a sentence.
I like that there's no black and white intro again.
Yay! Nathan with that black and white intro.
That'll be my first note on every episode.
Yeah, that doesn't have it.
Yeah.
And Kelly, what are your thoughts on this episode?
Best episode ever.
Oh,
it's the most Spielbergian of all of them.
There we go. There we go. Okay, well, and my feelings are kind of split. I love half of this episode, and I'll tell you what half that is in a little bit. Okay, so let's before we get into the descriptions of the different segments that we have, let's start first of all with the Animaniacs theme song, and I believe it started with "Here's the Show, Namey." Mm-hmm. So is this the second time in our run?
Number two.
Number 2. And yes,
that's half the episodes already.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
They really, I really wish they would have done something a little different there each time, but it's, whatever. I'm just picky. But it does start off with a really cool intro that they also show quite a bit throughout the series, which is the hot air balloon intro when they kind of peek out the top of the water tower and then a giant clown hot air balloon comes out. I don't know about you guys, but it's a very short, sweet segment. I really do like the animation. The quality of the animation in some of these shorter segments is really good.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I noted that Wacko didn't seem frightened of the clown balloon, though. And if we can allude to a future episode, Clownin' Out, he has a little phobia there. So
I forgot
that's
about
inconsistent
that.
with his character arc.
Oh,
well,
okay.
This is pre...
Maybe something horrible happened in that balloon.
Yeah, this is why he has that fear.
Or he watched Poltergeist.
Yeah,
since then, yeah. After the balloon ride.
Well, but I just like the little shots of this. I mean, if I could frame different things, like just the little shot where they're poking their eyes out of the top, just look really cool. Their eyeballs, and I don't know. Sometimes the character models, being a daily cartoon series, the character models are kind of all over the place sometimes just because of they're going to different animation studios throughout the world. So just depending on which company has it, they're going to draw them a little different and animate them a little differently. But I'd love to find out exactly who animated these sequences, because I think they're some of the finest ones.
This is Michelangelo from Hooked on a Ceiling, the best episode of Animaniacs. His Eminence is coming, so you'd better listen to the Animanicast.
Okay, well, our first segment right here is Hooked on a Ceiling. And I am excited to talk about this, but I know someone who is very excited to talk about this segment.
Is it me?
No, it's maybe you
No,
too, but
it's me.
It's Kelly. Kelly, what? I'll just tell you I'll tell you guys the basic stuff of this. The bare bones stuff here. This story is called Hooked on a Ceiling. It's written by Tom Ruegger. It was actually written by Gordon Brezick and Charles M. Howell IV, and directed by Rusty Mills. Kelly, what can you tell us about this episode in your own words?
It's one of my all-time favorites. Michelangelo, the year's 1512, and it's Rome, and he's working on the Sistine Chapel, trying to get it ready for His Eminence, and he's very nervous, but he's fired all of his assistants, and he's got to finish it up tonight, and he's a little overwhelmed. So the Warner brothers and the Warner sister come, and they offer to help him, and chaos ensues. Because they end up painting over it because they don't, they're like, oh, there's naked people on the ceiling and you want us to help you paint naked people. And then they paint dogs playing poker and Big Eyes painting, if y'all remember the Tim Burton movie.
Yeah.
And Elvis and all sorts of crazy things. And they keep trying to distract Michelangelo and tell him to pick out wallpaper patterns and,
so great.
Linoleum and things like that. And so he's still getting so stressed out and he's getting really agitated with them. And His Eminence is coming, and so they finally actually start painting for real, paint by numbers on the Sistine Chapel. Get it all done except for one panel. And he's staring up at it. He's like, I don't know what to paint in the one panel. So they continue to work while His Eminence walks in. And the camera starts low with the little sandaled feet. And it pans up. And then you see... Well, I'm sorry. I got out of order.
Yes.
So they show the panel. And if any of you are familiar with the Sistine Chapel, there's a center panel called The Creation of Adam, which is God reaching out or... and touching Adam's finger, and it's the creation. But in this instance, it's Elliot and E.T. and which I have been to the Sistine Chapel, and that is not there.
Oh,
but
well, then I don't want to go.
Oh yeah, it's really cool. And the funny thing was, the whole time I was at the Sistine Chapel, I just kept thinking about this episode. I was like, hooked on a ceiling. I was probably the only one in there thinking that, but that's okay. And so you see Elliot and E.T., and so it goes down in the sandals and the toga, and I don't know why they're wearing togas in 16th century Rome. I just don't understand that. And it goes up, and it reveals His Eminence, Steven Spielberg.
Yay!
He's got the hat, says E.T., the beard, the glasses.
I like it.
Hey, Mikey, he likes it. Painting is like show business. You have to know your audience.
And I just die every time. I die. It's the best thing.
Yes, because Kelly, for those of you who don't know, Kelly is a Steven Spielberg. There's Steven Spielberg fans, and then there's Steven Spielberg fanatics. And I dare say that, Kelly, you are a Steven Spielberg fanatic.
I love Steven Spielberg.
Well, what would you say? I know this is kind of a hard question, but why do you like Steven?
Deals with loneliness and isolation a lot.
I've seen you mentioned a lot of films that growing up I was kind of in the same boat. Back to the Future, Goonies, Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh, yeah.
These were films that I watched over and over and over again. And oh my gosh, Indiana Jones? You're kidding me. That's my favorite ride in Disneyland is Indiana Jones Temple of Forbidden Eye. Without
it's
a
fun.
Doubt, because it's
great.
just, I want to live in that world, and I just love, I'm just so excited. And also at least one more Indiana Jones film with Spielberg and John Williams doing the music as well. At some point we're going to have you talk about John Williams as well sometimes,
Yeah,
Kelly.
we don't have enough time.
We don't have enough time, but we will eventually, because actually when they do pan up to show the E.T. mural, they do kind of do a modified E.T. theme, to get around any kind of possible copyright problems. they play kind of the motif to kind of
use the same instruments and
Use the same instruments.
I don't know.
They used instruments.
They use musical instruments, just like John Williams did.
There you go. Wow. But yeah, so what are some of the things that you guys really like about this episode? I mean, this segment it has a lot of fantastic stuff.
So many references to so many different things, and it's like it's almost joke after joke too. There's not a lot of downtime between the next joke.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the art references. I went to Italy last year, and they show Botticelli's Birth of Venus, and I saw that in Florence, and I think there was the Last Supper was the second one, and the Mona Lisa, and an explanation that Michelangelo is not a Ninja Turtle. He's actually an artist, and so it gives you a time and place for this painting, and so kids or adults even that were watching it, that may not have any concept of the Sistine Chapel or where it originated or anything like that, it informs them, and it really kind of lays the groundwork for maybe wanting to know more about it. And obviously Spielberg wasn't the one who requested it. I looked it up, and it was Pope Julius II. I guess was the patron of the Sistine Chapel. I don't know about the other 15 chapels, but that's one of my favorite jokes in that one.
Did he look like?
Well, it was very educational.
I think the Pope you're mentioning, there was a movie that I remember my father had us, well, at least had me watch. I don't know if you were old enough, Nathan, but there's this movie called The Agony and the Ecstasy, which is with Michael. It's about Michelangelo painting the Sistine Chapel, and Rex. I think it's Rex Harrison from I want to say Goodbye Lady. It's My Fair Lady. And he plays the Pope, and he's ordering Michelangelo to paint the Sistine Chapel. I don't remember much from the movie. I watched the trailer for it again today. But basically it consists of Michelangelo not wanting to do it and is stressed out. He's not a painter. He's a sculptor. So with that in mind, I was kind of surprised that they went with Kirk Douglas send up for Michelangelo and not Charlton Heston, which I don't know. So that is a movie out there if you're interested in at least a dramatic telling of how it quote unquote really happened. You could see The Agony and the Ecstasy film in 1965, I believe. So there you go.
Michelangelo will paint the ceiling. He will paint it or he will hang. Obscenity! Shameful! Shameful and obscene! What have you to say?
I will paint man as God made him, in the glory of his nakedness.
We like painting naked people.
I think I'm just going to stick with the Animaniacs.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember Dad making me watch that when I was a kid, and I don't.
Are there differences between the Animaniacs and the movie?
Actually, no. It's about the same thing. Actually, yeah. So you know what? Just stick with Hooked on a Ceiling.
Does he sound the same too? Like
no, no. Charlton Heston and Kirk Douglas do not sound the same. Okay. No, but I mean, let's start with just even the title right there, Hooked on a Ceiling.
It's a reference.
To
something. To Hooked on a Feeling.
Hooked on a Ceiling.
Are we able to reference that song without even thinking about Guardians of the Galaxy?
I can't. Not anymore. No. Not anymore. I mean, if I hear that now, I'm like, oh yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy. I just think Rocket Raccoon in my head shooting. Yes, but I don't mind that because I love that movie.
Yeah,
so anyway.
Oh, yeah.
We also have one other thing when Michelangelo is yelling at Quasimodo to stop ringing the bell. It looks like Quasimodo, and most people out there are probably familiar with Quasimodo from the Disney film, which is one of my favorite Disney films, by the way. But the caricature is actually of Charles Laughton, who was one of the original Quasimodos from the 1930s. His other most famous film was probably Mutiny on the Bounty. He played. Again, I'm referencing movies that I have not seen, but I believe
have seen that one. It has Clark Gable in it.
Yes, so there you go. So I believe he was the Mr. Christian, kind of that guy. You know the guy I'm talking about? That's Charles Laughton. But anyway, he looked just like him. He had that big, chubby face with the pouty lip and stuff like that. That's him. So there you go. There's a very quick celebrity, obscure celebrity reference right there in this episode. Now, did you guys catch this was a reference that I would not have known about if it weren't for Mystery Science Theater, because they would sometimes reference this. Did you guys catch the reference to we'll paint any ceiling for $29.95?
No.
Okay. Earl Scheib. Does this sound familiar to either one of you?
Still not.
Nothing? Earl Scheib it's a company. I believe it's still around. Earl Scheib would be this older guy who'd come on TV and goes, I'll paint any car for $29.95. And then he'd go, right, like that. And that's why Yakko is going, right, right there. So, in fact, here's the clip of it right now with the kind of to show the similarity of it.
Remember free polyurethane this week only at Earl Scheib's.
Right. I'll paint any car for just $99.95.
Friends, we'll paint any ceiling for just $29.95. Right. How do we do it? No overhead. In fact, when we get through, you'll have nothing overhead. And if you hire us, you'll have nothing in your head. We paint ceilings, and only ceilings. We don't paint floors because they're beneath us.
Isn't that cool?
I like that.
Oh, as an FYI, Charles Lawton played William Bligh in Mutiny on the Bounty.
There we go.
And I only bring that up because I had to look it up because some listeners might be like, no, he didn't play Fletcher Christian. So before you ding us on iTunes.
No, didn't he say Mr. Christian or something?
He probably said it.
That's what and all I know is from Looney Tunes, from when Bugs Bunny would go, Mr. Christian.
It's been so long since I've only seen the movie like once. So
Captain Bligh! Mr. Christian! Look at you, disgrace to the Navy. This is mutiny, Mr. Christian. Mutiny, that is. Avast there, Mr. Christian. Batten down the hatches.
Aye, aye, sir.
Man the bowsprit. Stow the mizzenmast. Jibe the jib boom. Hoist the mainsail and lower the tattersail. Look sharp, man. Pike the starboard hatch to leeward. Thwart and trim the scuppers of the port poop deck. What a maroon.
But anyway,
yeah.
So, but y'all learned something.
Exactly. There is stuff. There's a lot of stuff to go in here. And Kelly, you were mentioning like right at the beginning with the artwork. I liked how they actually did show the actual pieces. Mm-hmm. I mean, it obviously was easier for them to just copy and paste in the actual artwork than redoing it. But I kind of
draw them out.
Yeah, I appreciated that they didn't just try to cartoonize the artwork. They actually did show the artwork, which did introduce the kids to some of that stuff, which was cool.
And the ceiling looked amazing.
Oh yeah. And I love the whole thing with the painting naked people. Like,
oh, more naked people. I wouldn't go flashing that around if I were you, Mike. This is a church.
And some other cool references as well. I love the like when they're kicking Michelangelo out of the Sistine Chapel, or what happened to the
first he throws himself out.
Yes.
Somehow.
You fools, I'm the great Michelangelo, and this is the Sistine Chapel.
Oh, yeah? If you're so great, what did you do with the other 15 chapels, huh? Got you there.
Out! Out! How dare you! Huh?
Well, that takes care of the competition.
But when he comes back in and then they're doing like the Wizard of Oz
that's a great one.
And he goes, the witches, Michelangelo?
Now that's a ceiling of a different color.
Nobody gets in to see the wizard, not nobody, not no how.
But I'm Michelangelo.
The witches, Michelangelo? Well, now that's a ceiling of a different color.
One quick joke that I didn't quite know what happened, and it was kind of a blink and you miss it kind of thing. When Michelangelo's out there looking at wallpaper designs, seeing which ones he likes the most, and then realizing,
flower design.
Yeah, actually, this is pretty good. But then he hits the column when he gets upset, and then the statue appears right there. I was like, what statue is that? Because they don't really call attention to it. They just move on. And I had to, just type in on Google statues by Michelangelo to find the one that was it. And I believe that's the statue of Moses actually right there. So there you go. So and it's just a quick little thing. And there's also some Cole Porter references in there because
the lovely.
Yeah.
Say, why don't you go paint that moaning Lisa, Leonardo?
That's Da Vinci.
That's delightful.
That's still lovely, but we've got a ceiling to paint.
Oh, another one last thing. He prefers the young Elvis.
Mm-hmm.
That is a reference right there to mid-90s culture, because at the time, Nathan, do you remember the Elvis stamps at all?
No, I didn't mail things back then in the 90s.
I remember it.
Yeah, I mean, back then I remember it was on the news that which Elvis would win. Would it be the young Elvis or the quote-unquote fat Elvis? And that was the design, I believe, of what they painted up there on the wall was the quote-unquote fat Elvis. So there you go. So he prefers the young Elvis was a joke, a reference to that. It wasn't an online vote. It was, I don't know how they voted back then for the post office. But yeah, it was a nationwide vote. It was a controversy. It was a big controversy to see which Elvis would win the stamp vote. Well, that's it for my little trivia, my quick references. There's a ton more. What else things do you like about this segment?
Again, I just love how many jokes there are. Like, it really is so many references. Like, most of them I didn't get necessarily, because I'd be like, oh, that's some movie that, especially as a kid, the Cole Porter things. And
I would not get that. I would not get that back then in the 90s at all.
So, I wouldn't get it now.
Oh, you haven't seen To Lovely, but with Kevin Kline?
No.
Oh, you got to see that movie. Okay. It's a really, really good movie. It will make you cry. But it is a fantastic movie about Cole Porter. So there's another movie suggestion from Joey.
Yeah,
to see To Lovely with Kevin Kline. Almost anything with Kevin Kline in my book is pretty good. But anyway.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, so this one has great balance with just funny and educational. You know, more funny than educational, I would think, but
yeah.
I just love Steven Spielberg.
Yes. Nathan, have you been to the Sistine Chapel?
I have been there.
What's your opinion? I mean, for both of you, I personally have never been to the Sistine Chapel.
It's big. It's I just remember being like so amazed at the size of it all.
Because in the cartoon, it feels smaller to me in this cartoon. I mean, I don't know.
It felt small to me.
Yeah.
The chapel itself, it was much smaller than a lot of the churches I saw in Italy. So it, in my opinion, it felt pretty small. I'm like, oh wow, this is it. I thought it would be this huge, massive, more like a cathedral-like room, and it didn't feel that immense.
Mm-hmm.
At least not the way I had pictured. And you couldn't really talk in there. You were supposed to be quiet. It was a place for prayer.
And you! How can I work with all you peasants kneeling and mumbling?
But Michelangelo, this is a church.
But people were there talking and snapping photos with their selfie sticks, and the I don't know who it was that, the guards or whomever, they kept saying shh, shh, and taking people's cameras away, and every 5 seconds, shh, shh.
Oh my gosh.
And so I just sat there and looked up at the ceiling and was thinking about this episode.
Yeah. And it's really funny too when people take pictures of stuff that it's everywhere,
like on a postcard or
something.
Yeah,
it's like I'd rather just look at it with my own eyeballs and then just get the picture, a good crisp picture of it.
Well,
later.
That's why I take my little travel Yoda anywhere I go.
Yes.
I didn't take a photo of him in the Sistine Chapel because I follow the rules, unlike other people. But I like to put him in shots that otherwise would be pretty much the same thing you'd see on Pinterest or anywhere else.
Yeah.
So Yoda in front of the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Yeah.
That's a little different.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's our travel tip for you today too, by the way. Bring a Yoda or an Animaniacs doll or something like that to make your photos a little more interesting.
Yeah. In fact, please take your Animaniacs, whatever you've got, and take pictures and send them to us.
Yeah, we want to see them. I would definitely want to see them.
We show them to all.
That was a great idea that we just came up with.
Yes, we're starting the traveling. Because it'll be Yakko. Yeah, that'll be great.
Yakko's World.
Yeah, it'll be Yakko's World. So if you have a Yakko doll, take a picture of him at some place, no matter where that is, even if it's just your hometown. Take a picture of Yakko. Hey, you know what?
A cool place. Yeah,
we'll even make it even easier. If you don't have a Yakko doll, because this is 2016, print up a picture of Yakko and cut him out. He can be flat Yakko, like Flat Stanley, and just put him up and just take a picture of Yakko in front of something. It'll be Yakko's World, and then you can share them to our Facebook page. Just post it on the page, and that's facebook.com/Animanicast, and join the fun. So there you go. I'm gonna do it. I'm going to find a picture of Yakko.
Do it. No.
I'm going to find something in Tucson to take a picture of Yakko standing in front of a saguaro or something like that. I'll do it for both of us, Nathan. Don't worry. Or maybe I'll make you do it.
Yeah. One of us will do it.
Yeah. One of us will do it.
Or we'll both do it.
At the same time. And then, okay. Excellent idea, Kelly.
This is Maurice LaMarche, the voice of Squid the Pigeon from the Goodfeathers and Animaniacs. And you're listening to the Animanicast. Don't hit me, Pesto!
All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the second segment, and the only other segment really of the show, and that is called
The Goodfeathers, The Beginnings.
The Goodfeathers, The Beginning. And this is written by Deanna Oliver and directed by Greg Reyna. Nathan, what can you tell us about this particular segment?
This is the first Goodfeathers episode, or segment, I should say. And
it's synonymous at this point.
Yeah, basically, there's the bird named Squit, which is voiced by Maurice LaMarche, which we heard a moment ago, I believe.
Yep.
I loved it. And he wants to be a Goodfeather, which is a pun on Goodfellows.
Good fellas, not fellows.
I never saw it. So he wants to be a Goodfeather, just like Pesto and Bobby. Pesto is very angry all the time, gets very sensitive about anything you say, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
And before he can do it, the Godfather, the
God
Pigeon of them all, Sully, I think his name is. Sully, yeah. He will agree to let him be a Goodfeather if he can get food. And so there's a bagel in the middle of the street, and the whole episode is he's trying to get it. And actually, Bobby and Pesto help him, even though they did not want him to be a Goodfeather. Which is, I like that they decide to actually help him out instead of just watching Squid keep failing. At least they're all failing together.
Yeah, they come together at the end. They're friends.
Exactly.
But actually, they actually help him out pretty quickly, don't they?
Right away. He tries once, and then they're like, he needs help. And I'm like, oh, that's really nice. Like, I would think that because they were so against him being a Goodfeather.
Yeah. But at the end, of course, through all the getting run over a bunch of different times, it's the God Pigeon who's able to just walk out into the middle of the street.
Traffic stops. No one wants to offend him, and he eats the whole bagel, right?
Yep. I love that voice. Maurice LaMarche did the God Pigeon as well.
Yeah, he does both voices.
And I just think it's it's an interesting take on a Marlon Brando impression. Usually Marlon Brando impressions, you can actually understand a little bit of what they're saying. Like, let me tell you something. I can hear like a little bit of actual English coming out. But this is just, it's just this complete mumbling, which is cool to hear. So there you go. So and then of course Squid becomes
a Goodfeather at the end.
A Goodfeather. So there you go. They kiss his toes.
This was a 2-segment, basically, right? Was this twice as long as?
Yeah, this one. Yeah. I was expecting this one. Probably, honestly, I think this Goodfeather segment probably could have been cut down to one segment.
Yeah,
like, it could have been edited. That's just my personal opinion. I kind of liked it. It's not bad, but I don't know. I didn't really like this segment that much.
I thought it was decent for the setup of their
They got
their group dynamic. And
yeah, that's true. I think it was just the fact that the first segment of this with Hooked on a Ceiling was so fast paced and so verbally quick,
and so good.
Yeah, exactly. That you had to. I mean, I had to watch. Like I was catching jokes the second time through that I didn't hear the first time through, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's funny!" And that, because they're going so quickly. But this one is pretty straightforward. Like they go. They're trying to get the bagel, and they get
like, we'll try flying in. Now let's try walking in. Now let's try going under. Let's try walking again.
It's sort of an interesting contrast because Hooked on a Ceiling is so smart and so clever and full of, jokes that it'd be hard for any one person to get all of them, I would think, because they're so all over the place, and it's got art and history and everything else. And then the Goodfeathers episode or segment sort of, it's that old-fashioned animation where it's the physical comedy primarily. And they keep getting hit by the truck, and you can kind of let your brain rest a minute and just kind of enjoy it and watch it for basically just for laughs.
Yeah, and I think it is a weird concept because it is in many ways much more for the younger audience that might be watching the show, but at the same time, I think it's pretty brave for the writers and the storytellers to be referencing an R-rated gangster movie.
Yeah, two of it. Well, it's also
the Godfather as well.
And Goodfellas.
I think there was a
taxi reference
taxi
too,
driver.
Yeah.
You
reference at the beginning too.
Yeah.
Hey, cool. I'm walking here.
You're walking with me? Is that what you're doing? Are you walking with me? I don't see anybody else here.
The allusions to adult language are there as well. With Pesto.
Hey, go you!
Yeah, run, pussycat.
I always loved
I love Pesto.
That's the one thing I really do like, how he can always take the most...
Like a homophone, or, like an alternate meaning to a word. And
yes.
So instead of tough meaning strong, it's tough meat. And
what do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that?
Well, I said you're tough, that's all.
You're saying I'm an overdone piece of meat? Is that what you're saying? What am I, a plate of dry steak butt meat here to amuse you?
No, I didn't say that. I just said you're tough.
I am tough?
Yeah.
I'm tough.
Yeah, you're tough.
That's it. Tough. I'll show you.
Or swell. You're swell.
Exactly. Yeah.
Think I have a big head?
Pesto, you are one swell bird.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I said you're swell, that's all.
You saying that I got a big head? Is that what you're saying? What am I, a bloated, puffy, round head here to amuse you?
No, I didn't say that. I said you're swell.
I am swell?
Yeah, you're swell.
Swell?
Yeah.
That's it. Here's your swell. I got your swell right here. I'll show you swell.
I remember always yelling at my friends, like, that's it! Just chasing him. And that for me is always the highlight for the Goodfeathers episodes.
Yeah, I used to fight with my brother and say that too.
So I think one of the things I actually really liked about this episode, how was the animation was actually kind of ambitious for such a simple kind of setup, which is just kind of a game of Frogger, really. It's going across the street trying to get it. Mm-hmm. But when I really liked when they went into the subway and the camera kind of pans behind them and it goes into the darkness of the subway and the shadows and the light and everything. I don't think it completely pulled it off because it was, it's still not incredibly high quality animation. Yeah. But I think it still looked really cool. I also really like the part where Bobby gets crushed when he blows the whistle and he gets crushed by the wheel.
Oh,
and it's kind of like this.
Hear it too. It's so like
it's like this slow crunching, and he kind of gets slowly
the most
squished.
Gruesome of the.
Not since Judge Doom and Roger Rabbit has a person got crushed. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. And also I noticed just a few other things. Rats with wings. I don't think being in Tucson, we don't have that many pigeons here. Mm-hmm. It's too hot for pigeons in most places. I mean, we still have them downtown and stuff
at the park.
Yeah, but I wasn't. Whenever I saw pigeons, I never thought of them as disgusting birds as a kid until I think probably seeing the Goodfeathers. Like, wait, people hate pigeons?
Ow! 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 No! Nasty! Awful! Rats with wings! Ow! Filthy, stinking birds! Ow!
That's an ongoing theme in the Goodfeathers episodes, that people freak out when they see the pigeons and they hit them and they do all that. Call them rats with wings. And
yeah, I never had a problem with it until Goodfeathers. I guess they would be. And there's also a Simpsons episode where they were killing. Bart had a lizard that would eat pigeons.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think they called them rats with wings in that one, too.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys also noticed that everyone in New York wants to go to the airport?
What was like $14 anywhere? Is that what it was?
They all went to the airport.
Like, get me out of this city.
No, exactly. It's like, so that's another thing I learned is no one wants to stay in New York. Any other things about this episode?
There's 2 Warner Brother references, cameos. I mean, the Warner
They
Brothers
run through
twice in this episode.
Yeah,
and even if you blink and miss them, you hear the music. So
yeah,
it's like Jaws. You know that it has its own theme music to indicate what's going on. So even if you don't see them, you know they're there.
Yes. Well, I it's a good intro, I think, to the Goodfeathers. Not the funniest segment, but I think it did a nice job of just kind of talking, introducing us to the characters and how things came to be, as the title says.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on this particular segment before we start to wrap things up?
Mm-mm.
I don't think so.
All right.
I just like the God Pigeon. He's hysterical.
Yes. As we go to the end, we have the Wheel of Morality, which actually starts off a little differently. Usually it kind of starts where they run in and then they squeal to a halt in front and they go, it's that time again. But in this case, Wacko was actually just confused.
He's having like an existential crisis.
He did.
Like, what is this all about?
Exactly.
Gee, Yakko, I'm confused.
What else is new?
No, I mean about today's show. What was the moral of the story?
He did not know what the moral of today's show was. And of course, the moral of today's show was,
never ask what hot dogs are made of.
Of course, it all makes perfect sense now. Thanks for clearing that up.
Which makes sense.
Yes.
Pigeons.
Oh, no, it's connected.
They're made of pigeons.
They're made of pigeons. Oh, okay.
Just don't ask and you won't know.
Do you eat hot dogs, Kelly?
Sometimes.
I see.
I like hot dogs.
I never, what was it? Steve Martin said once, he goes, people always say, oh, don't eat hot dogs. They have really weird things in them. But I don't mind that because I love animal lips.
See?
Okay, so and then we have the chase ending where the Warners go back into the tower with the ladder from Wacko's gag bag, and Ralph attempts to climb it, and then he goes back into the bag. And they just kind of shrug their shoulders and close the tower, and that's the end of the episode.
Forever.
Ralph is lost into the bag. Who knows? He's gone into
infinity.
Gone to another dimension, never to be seen again. Again, the animation on that closing segment, very cool. Very, those opening and closing segments of today's episode, very good, very classic. And then it all wraps up with a stinger with, set
3 extra places.
Yes, set 3 extra places. We're coming home for dinner. And there we go. So, all in all, a very nice episode. I'll go ahead and start with the water tower rating this time around, I think.
Do it.
Okay, here I go. I'm going to give this particular episode 3 water towers out of 5 because I really like the first segment a lot. But the second segment, I hadn't seen it for a few years, and honestly, I could go a few more years without seeing it again. It's cute, it's nice, but it doesn't have as much repeat value. And if I were to give the first part an A+, I would give the second segment a C, a good standard C. So I think it kind of averages to about a 3-star rating for me. I'm going to go to Kelly last because I know what's coming up with Kelly. So Nathan, what is your water tower rating?
I'm leaning towards a 4.5.
Wow.
I know. Well, I really did enjoy that first segment a lot. Thought it was very funny. And watching it again, I thought it was even funnier. So, just within this last week. But then, yeah, that second part, I feel like it's a little long. But the Goodfeathers, I enjoy it. I like the characters. Like, between the three of them, I think Pesto's my favorite. At least he was my favorite as a kid. Although I'll have to see how things go from this point on, which character of those three I like the most. But I really enjoyed it still, and getting a couple more references this time. Having seen like Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen Goodfellas.
No, I will have to see. Have you seen Goodfellas, Kelly?
No.
See,
I had it recorded at one point, and I never got around to watching it.
I would only watch it just so I would get more references from Goodfeathers.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it.
That's exactly. Honestly, that's when it comes to a lot of references on this show. I'm gonna make a point of actually seeing this show, because honestly, when I was a kid, even if I wanted to, I wouldn't be allowed to watch Goodfellas. I was 12, 13 at the time, and Dad wouldn't let us watch anything R-rated, especially me. I mean, Nathan's the youngest, and
when I was 12, 13, I probably could watch R-rated movies.
Yeah, because by the time everyone else was 18. But yeah, at the time, I had being the eldest brother, I couldn't watch a lot of movies that all my friends talked about, Alien and Predator and all those movies. I still haven't seen a lot of movies just because my dad said, nope, you can't watch it because you're little brothers.
And he still says no.
I know. I'm like, Dad, I really want to watch The Karate Kid. No.
What?
No, I never saw the Karate Kid movies either. I'm telling you, that's
like a PG. I saw it when I was.
I had little brothers, and it was about fighting, and he didn't like it.
Violence.
Ninja Turtles was.
I was in love with Ralph Macchio.
I was barely able to watch. Well, can't really blame him, because even watching the Ninja Turtles movie, like, we did kind of go crazy after watching Ninja Turtles. We would be jumping around the place a lot.
Well, we all had to have a character.
Go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's my favorite Ninja Turtles movie, by the way, is Ninja Turtles 2. Anyway, but yeah, like. Anyway, yeah, Nathan was Raphael. I was Michelangelo. My brother Clay was Leonardo. Nick was Donatello, and Nathan was Raphael. And Nathan, yeah. Well, Nathan was Raphael because no one else wanted to be Raphael.
I was always the character. So, like in the Goodfeathers, we would also do that. I would be Squid.
Really?
Yeah. No one wanted to be him, I believe.
I don't remember playing Goodfeathers.
I think it was just Clay and Nick.
Okay.
So Clay would be Bobby and Nick would be Pesto.
Wow. I missed that kind of role-playing adventure. Okay.
Well, it was just like, while we're watching the show, it'd just be like, you're Squid.
Okay. That's cool. All right. So, Kelly, we've waited long enough. What is your water tower rating?
Well, I know we only have a maximum of 5, so I'll stay within the parameters established previously. So I'll give it 5, but I'm giving all 5 to Hooked on a Ceiling.
Okay.
Because I want it to have all the water towers.
Give
it's
it
the
10
best.
and give the other one -5.
Because I just remember watching it for the first time, and you don't really know what to expect, really, and you see E.T. and Elliot, and like, wow, that's cool, it's a Spielberg reference, and then it's like, oh my gosh, it's Steven. And then, he's just so excited, and Spielberg reference in a Spielberg show, and my brain exploded.
Yes.
So, yeah, 5.
5 out of 5. I know, before you said you wanted to give it 6 out of 5.
Well, I can't do math. But, yeah, I'll keep with my 5.
All right. Well, awesome. A great episode, and looking forward to our next one as well.
It's that time again. Time for more Twitter poll results. Listeners were asked, which of the following math/science songs sung by Yakko is your favorite? #Animaniacs. 10% said multiplication. 22% said the planets/solar system song. But with a whopping, astounding 68%, the winner is Yakko's Universe, making us feel all nice and delightful, and yet insignificant at the same time. Well, there we are. Now we go to our commentators with their thoughts and feelings. But no one asks me about mine. Goodbye.
Those were our results right there.
That guy sounded weird.
I agree. I don't like that guy. But Nathan, Kelly, who did you guys vote for right here? Which of these 3 songs do you prefer the most, and why?
Oh, I like Yakko's Universe. I've just always liked that one, and it's catchy and fun, and I just love the animation, and it's really, really good.
Mm-hmm. Nathan?
For me, it was a tough call between the Yakko's Universe and Multiplication. I went with Yakko's Universe.
Okay.
I feel like you just learn more. They tell you about distances between galaxies and the numbers of stars and moons, and I feel like I feel like I learned something after listening to it. And it's catchy.
And I'm going to vote for the planets of the solar system because Yakko forgets one very important planet. And luckily Wacko corrects him. So there you go. That's why that song out of those 3 is my favorite, at least today. It's a hard thing to decide. We have a brand new poll out there today on our Twitter page, feed, which is a little question for you folks out there. How were you first introduced to the Animaniacs? How were you first introduced? There are many different ways, and I can only fit 4 options on there. So if these 4 don't match up with you, then just send a little comment, I suppose, and we'll talk about it. So the main ways we thought about were Fox Kids, so the original run on Fox after school. Then, of course, things moved over to Kids WB, and I believe the Animaniacs was only on Saturdays, I believe, at that point. Well, it was also after school, but I think they usually ran new episodes on Saturday. I might be incorrect with that, but anyway. But then it went into reruns, and it was shown on Cartoon Network, it was shown on Nickelodeon, and probably just regular syndication. And of course, today there's the DVDs and there's Netflix. So just out of curiosity, we're just going to see, how are you first introduced to the Animaniacs? Go ahead and head over to our Twitter page and make your voice heard, and we'll see the results. We'll talk about them next week. Before we close up everything, let's talk about some listener feedback. Nathan, hit us with the feedback song.
This is the feedback song. This is the feedback song. This is the feedback song, and we're gonna hear it now.
Yeah.
Feedback, that is.
So that was the feedback song. Nathan took how many days to write that song?
Oh, I've been writing it well before we even decided to make the podcast.
Oh, wow.
I've been kind of working on it as
good job,
his own personal thing.
I love it.
It was awesome, Nathan. So that's going to be in my head. Okay, so we have some listener feedback here from Twitter as well as the iTunes feedback, and I'm going to go right to our Twitter feedback. First of all, we have Matt Duran, who is Skeptic83, Skeptic_83. There were 82 other skeptics out there.
Oh, makes sense.
He was the 83rd. And
I don't know if I believe that.
He said, I think he meant to say, I've been looking. So I'm going to put it in there for him. I've been looking for someone to start an Animaniacs podcast, and it looks like my prayers have been answered. And he follows up by saying, just listened to your first episode today and loved it. Looking forward to more episodes. So thank you very much from Skeptic_83. He also said that he's glad at least one of us is around his age or a bit younger, since almost every podcast is dominated by Gen Xers. So there you go. He's glad that you're younger than me and Kelly, Nathan. So,
that's me.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah,
you're younger than us.
Boy.
And we also have a very nice comment here from Louise the Sim, who is Louise Isabel. And Louise says, got introduced to Animanicast today, and I'm instantly hooked.
Oh.
And she put a little heart smiley-eyed emoji right there.
Oh, we got a heart emoji.
Yay. And she says, if you're an Animaniacs fan like me, go and follow them. So thank you very much, Louise. That's awesome. And
sweet.
We had a question out there on Twitter, which was, and I get this quite a bit on Facebook as well, which is, do you think they'll bring back the Animaniacs? Do you think they'll reboot the Animaniacs? Obviously, I'm sure you guys are with me with this. We'd love for them to reboot the series as long as, I mean, we want to make sure that the original writers are there.
Yeah, I would want it done well. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It would have to, I don't want them to do another Powerpuff Girls mistake, which is we need to get the original creators behind it and the original voices. Otherwise, it's just not going to be the same.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I honestly think I kind of get the vibe. Maybe it's just because I'm always checking Twitter and looking for the word Animaniacs, but I'm like, everyone's talking about it. Oh, wait, that's just because I'm constantly
All these people
searching
are saying
it.
#Animaniacs.
Everyone on Twitter is. Everyone's talking about it. But I don't know. I think there might be a chance it could get, I mean, I think there's a place for it, definitely. Whether or not it does get rebooted, that's something I just don't know. I mean, it's hard. It's a hard thing. It's dependent on a lot of different variables.
The fandom's there for sure.
Yes. And I think now that they're reintroducing it on, I mean, it was out on DVD for a while now, but I mean, you have to pay $30 a box set for those versus now where it's just on Netflix.
Yeah.
And kids are just finding it. It's on, if you go to the kids version of Netflix, it's one of the top cartoons that shows up right there. It's Yakko right at the top. So I'm sure there's a lot of kids out there that are just, free surfing Netflix, by themselves. The parent gives them a controller, says, okay, watch TV. I'm out of here. But they're probably rediscovering the Animaniacs right there. I think it would be awesome for Netflix, to pick it up perhaps, at least for, I don't know, just at least 13 episodes or
do
something.
like a season, basically.
Yeah. I don't know. So I don't know. So for those people who are, messaging saying, do we think it'll come out on, I think it would be awesome if they would. I have not heard anything, news wise about it coming out though. So we'll just keep our ears to the ground. And if we hear any news or any possibility of it, coming out, then we'll let you know. Maurice Lamarce actually had a really cool question on the panel from Phoenix Comic-Con. Check the feed, it's on there, the Maurice Lamarche panel. Somebody asked him what would he like to see if Pinky and the Brain were made into a movie. And he had an awesome idea, which was basically make it computer animated, like really good computer animation. So it's like, so it could be live action with computer animated Pinky and the Brain right there. Start the movie off with 2 white mice, real mice.
Oh, cool.
And then put them through the X-ray machine or whatever. And then they come out as animated, mice. And of course he said he would expect them to do the actual, he would want to provide the voice along with Rob Paulson. It would have to be the original voices as well. Okay. Well, our last thing, speaking of feedback, is we're going to do a contest. Nathan, hit us with our contest song.
Contest song.
Is that the Haunted Mansion song?
No.
What's that? I'm not. Is that like a? Let's try that again because that sounded scary. Nathan,
Is this not a scary thing?
No, that was the B side of the.
Okay, I thought this was supposed to be a scary contest.
No, it's not a scary contest.
Okay,
this is a contest. It's a happy contest.
Fine. All right, contest song. This is the contest song. This is the contest song. This is the contest song for all you people listening.
Okay.
Which one was worse? You tell me.
I'm dying.
Okay, well, that's our contest music. Our contest is we are going to enter people in for a drawing, a raffle. It'll start now, and it will end when we have enough people to enter. It's dependent on you folks out there. If you leave us some positive reviews on iTunes, which isn't that hard to do because Nathan and I figured out a way to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's hard to not give us a positive because we're so great.
I know, seriously. All you have to do is go to iTunes and then sign in and then, leave a review. So far, the person that is entered officially, because Nathan and I can't win, is Tim. And let me explain real quick before I read Tim's review. This is what the prize package is. It's an assortment of Animaniacs vinyl decals. Ooh.
You mean it's not a one-way or a trip for one to the Rock of Gibraltar?
No. not this time. It'll be the vinyl decals of Yakko, Wacko, Dot, and Pinky and the Brain. You'll get 5 different vinyl decals that you can put on a mirror, a window, a car, or any kind of smooth surface that you can think of. They measure about, Pinky and the Brain are about 6 inches in diameter, and Yakko, Wacko, and Dot put together with red noses, I might add, measure approximately, I think it's 4 inches by 7 or so inches. So that's it's pretty big. Yeah. They look really cool, and
you can take them off and stick them on another thing, and then take them off, and then
you can't.
Oh, you can't.
No,
okay.
These are decals that you just put them on, and you go, all right, and then.
So don't move it.
Don't move it. You have to know be happy with it, because you take it off, it's not going back up there. But you can put them on your computer. You can put them on your car.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, you can put them on your back of your laptop. It'll look cool, and you can show everybody that you're a fan of the Animaniacs. So once again, in order to get this prize, you simply go to iTunes, leave a positive review, and then you will be in the running for it. So Tim's review reads as follows. He says, "The perfect Animaniacs podcast. I've always been a big fan of Animaniacs since I was a kid, so it's great to finally have a fun, insightful podcast about it. Love how it will cover every episode of the series, and if the first episode is any indication, there will be great insight on the series that I never knew about. Looking forward to hearing more." So thank you very much to Tim. Don't forget to go to twitter.com/Animanicast and follow us on Twitter. Go to facebook.com/Animanicast and like us on Facebook and subscribe on whatever podcatcher thingamabob that you listen to.
On the
interwebs. So, for the Animanicast, I'm Joey.
I'm Nathan.
I'm Kelly.
And we're all going to say... Good night, everybody.
This podcast is not endorsed by Warner Brothers or Amblin Entertainment and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Animaniacs, the Warner Brothers logo, all names, pictures, and sounds of the Animaniacs characters or any other Animaniacs-related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Warner Brothers, Amblin Entertainment, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of the Animanicast unless otherwise indicated.
I like it.
Let's go ahead. Oh, let me actually, before we start, Kelly, I want to play for you the thing here from Maurice LaMarche, because he's going to be doing it will have him as the intro for Hooked on a Ceiling and for the Goodfeathers one today. We'll have at the beginning of each one. So
cool.
Let's see. I'll just skip to the end when we were talking to him.
I got to learn about Orson Welles.
Yeah, that's me talking about Orson Welles.
I remember listening to the Animanicast. You're listening to the Animanicast.
This is the last one.
Yeah.
This is Maurice LaMarche, the voice of the brain, and you are listening to the Animanicast. This is Maurice LaMarche, the voice of Squid the Pigeon from the Goodfeathers and Animaniacs, and you're listening to the Animanicast. Don't hit me, Pesto.
And the last one right here is Hooked on a Ceiling, and
oh my God.
This is where my friend Jason decided to call right at the end. I wanted to go to him later. Nathan knew how upset I was afterwards.
Well, it was embarrassing.
It was so embarrassing because number one, we just wanted one quick, I thought if you just did the brain, like, hey, here's the brain. There you go. Give me my money. Bye. But he gave us 3. And then for the third one, my friend Jason called me to ask me where I was, basically, even though I told him where I was.
We were in
line.
And we'll call you when we're done.
But he called right in the middle of this, and then I was like, okay, I'm sorry. I like hung up on him immediately. I was like, okay, I'm sorry. Can you do that last one more time?
And he did.
And he did.
Oh, he's wonderful.
And he did. And he did it. And we were like, oh gosh, I don't know if the first take or the second take was better, but actually when you listen to both of them in a row, it's like they actually sound
identical.
Yeah. Which you're like, wow, he really is a professional. He's able to hit those same things really well. So here, listen to this.
This is Michelangelo from Hooked on a Ceiling, the best episode of Animaniacs. His Eminence is almost here.
Oh my God.
Last one, the Hooked on a Ceiling.
I just now got this.
This is Michelangelo from the best episode of Animaniacs, Hooked on a Ceiling. His Eminence is coming, so you'd better listen to the Animanicast.
Yeah.
Does he think it's the best episode, or did you tell him it was the best
He just said it like that. He just said it's the best episode.
It is the best episode.
But that's not it, because not only that, but Jess Harnell, actually, when we were in line, did I tell you that Jess Harnell left a message on Nathan's phone?
Yeah, I left my phone there. And
listen to this, because we were in line to see Maurice LaMarche, and Nathan was like, I think I left my phone. And
yeah, I think I left it on the table over there.
On the table over there, because we showed him the artwork, and he's like, wow, you're me, Nathan. That's really cool. You know, he liked that. Wow. But then I was like, okay, hang on, let me call you. And Nathan was touching his pockets. He's like, yeah, I definitely don't have it. And as I'm walking over there, Jess Harnell has Nathan's phone in his hand, and he goes, yeah, who is this? I'm like, this is Joey. Joey, I got your phone, man. And then I'm like, okay, thanks. He goes, yeah, I left you a voice message, man. Have a good day.
Oh my gosh.
And then we go back, and with Nathan's like, okay, let's listen to what he put. And Nathan immediately presses the record button.
I'm like, I do not want to. No.
And so I stopped him, luckily, like right at the beginning of it. So at the beginning of this memo, you'll hear me going, nope, nope, nope. Because you're recording on top of the message, you dummy. But this is really funny. So let's see.
Nope. And I found your cell phone when we were dancing at the club, and you left it here, and I figured you might need it. And I just wanted to tell you that you're a handsome man, and I love you, and I miss you, and I hope you call me again soon, because you're the best dancer I've ever met. Dude, it's Jess Harnell. You left your phone in my booth. I'll talk to you later.
So
nice. That's a way to get free.
Are y'all going to share these?
Yeah, I'll have to share these. Yeah, in fact, I'll probably just use the audio that we have right there and just kind of reincorporate it. So